The FIM JuniorGP World Championship has landed at the iconic Misano World Circuit. Marco Simoncelli for round 5 of the season. Brian Uriarte continues to lead the charge as the number 51 looks to extend his championship lead this weekend. We're in for a treat on the Adriatic coast with a double bill of JuniorGP action, giving the riders a chance to battle for another important 50 points at its legendary venue, which hosted MotoGP just 1 week ago. The circuit is 4.23 kilometres in length, and with 16 corners, it invites overtaking at every opportunity, making it both a rider favourite and a fan favourite. It's time to strap in as we prepare to go lights out for an unforgettable 16 laps of drama in our opening race of the day. It's now time for JuniorGP Race 1. Well, looking back, just a few weeks ago, we were racing in Aragon, and well, it was a great start for Uriarte at the start of the race, but straight away he was under pressure before not too long, with Salmela looking to hit the front at the early stages. Things soon took abrupt end for Rioth as he crashed out high side and bringing an end to his race. Salmela would have his moment once again at the front, run off the track before, well, the Italian snatched victory, and it was victory in race 1. Then race 2 came along. Uriarte had his sights set on redemption as Marco Morelli got involved in the mix in the early stages, fighting with Joel Esteban and both of the Australia Galicia riders. It wouldn't be long before Brian Uriarte's charge began, fighting his way through the podium. Through Esteban he went, and then, well, back in his usual place at the front of the field. It was a last lap scrap and the Spaniard took victory. It was another 25 points for the 51 in Aragon, and well, can he do it again in Misano? Let's find out. Well, we're here on the Adriatic coast, and my name is Lewis Ray, and joining me today and bringing you through all the action that we have to watch is Jack Amy. And well, Jack, we're set for an exciting 6 races here today. There's plenty of action on the circuit, and starting proceedings here today, it's JuniorGP Race 1, a double bill for the riders here today.
Yeah, hi Lewis, hi everyone. As you said, a double bill for JuniorGP, and we do have really good conditions to go racing. It's perfectly sunny, not a cloud in the sky, not too hot. As a Scottish and an Englishman, I think we're both quite happy about that. But yeah, perfect conditions to go racing. As you say, it's starting with JuniorGP and Brian Uriarte on pole position.
Yeah, Uriarte starts on pole, and of course championship leader at the moment. And you mentioned the conditions. Well, 25 degrees Celsius, which, well, I will say it's not cold for the least, but track temp just below 32 degrees as things stand. The riders are on the grid at the moment. It's their final chance to get settled. It's their final chance to have that conversation with the team, because it's a stacked front row of the grid. I mean, Uriarte from Marco Morelli, a front row of the grid appearance for him, and then Jesus Rioth in 3rd position. So a very, very packed front grid, full of talent.
It is, yeah, as you say, Uriarte, Morelli, Rios on the front row. All 3 you would think will be fighting it out for victory. And don't forget Rico Salmela from P4 as well. He will definitely be in the mix.
Yeah, right now the riders on their sight and lap, and it's going to be a quick little eye around the circuit, just seeing how things are. Of course, no morning warm-up in the JuniorGP class. All we've had so far today, track action-wise, was a quick track inspection this morning, and then the ETC last chance race, but more on that later on, because, well, the riders are now starting to appear in the grid. Rico Salmela already in his grid slot, and we do have a little bit of housekeeping to bring you here this morning, and that's because Joel Esteban will be starting from the back of the grid. We'll be starting in P31, and alongside him at the very, very back of the grid is also going to be Singapong, because he got given a penalty yesterday for back of the grid and one long lap to serve during this first race of the day. So a few moments, it seems, in qualifying. A few riders maybe going a bit slower than what they should have, but let's have a look at it now.
I did the best lap in my life. I think it was everything perfect. We've been working very hard to improve this lap, and yeah, finally we got it, but tomorrow is the race, and I think it will be a very big group. I know I got a bit of advantage between the rivals, but yeah, it's only a qualifying, and tomorrow we have the race, so let's see. We have a nice pace. It was a perfect lap, and yeah, no mistakes. That is very important. I'm learning about this, and yeah, I feel confident for tomorrow, so let's see.
that was yesterday. That was on Saturday, and, well, as Brian said, the best lap of his life. And, well, can he make it the best race of his life here today? Of course, the first of the 25 points are up for grabs, and I'm sure he would love to turn a 4th pole position into a 5th race win of the year.
And he's got a very good chance to do so. We know how quick Uriarte is. As you say, he's looking for a 5th race win of the season. One last time out race to Aragon. So looking to make it 2 in a row after starting the year with 3 consecutive wins.
Yeah, he started the year so strong, and then of course he had that crash at Magny-Cours in the wet conditions. Really tricky for him. If I remember right, it was a crash at turn 4 at Magny-Cours, and then of course Aragon came along, a P8 finish, still some solid points on the board. But joining them on the front row, Marco Morelli now. 3rd place last time out at Aragon. Podium finish, his first podium of the year. He sits P6 in the championship. It's another opportunity for him, and, well, Morelli, he's got a lot of experience and he has some good pedigree behind him, so I think he's going to be aiming for a podium, if not a little bit higher up than that, for a win.
He will, yeah. Morelli will be searching for that first race win of the year. The number 97, as you say, goes from P2. Very quick throughout the weekend so far.
Yeah, and so has Jesus Rios. Now, the Spaniard starts from 3rd position. He rounds out our front row of the grid. It's been a little bit of an up and down season so far. 2 DNFs from the year, plus, of course, a P18 finish. No points scored in France, but 2 podiums so far this season. A third podium could be coming his way, judging by the pace that he had in qualifying. But, of course, it's all going to be on the race pace.
It is, yeah, as you say, up and down results-wise when it comes to racing, but on the grid in qualifying, he's been very consistent. A worst of P4 and 3 consecutive front row starts now for Rios.
Well, speaking about podium finishers, Rico Salmela in 2025, he's really played the bridesmaid role, if you will, this season. He's not got a win yet, but he's finished off the podium in just 1 race so far this year. Plenty of 3rd place is his name, and just 1 second. He's going to be desperate for that first victory. I mean, how long does he have to wait?
Hopefully for him, not too much longer, but as you say, or as we said just now, consistency from Rios. Salmela has been consistent in qualifying and races. He just needs to get that 1 step further to take a win this year.
And Veda Pratama as well, also having a great weekend so far. One of our most popular riders here in the Junior GP paddock, and certainly has plenty of fan support around the circuit and as well on social media.
He does, yeah, and a season's best qualifying for Pratama in P5.
Yeah, season best qualifying, and plenty of fans around this Misano World Circuit watching on here today. Of course, MotoGP was here just 1 week ago, but the action doesn't stop on the Adriatic coast, as now it's time for Junior GP to take the centre stage. 2nd row of the grid, sticking with the FIM, and another great qualifying for David Gonzalez. No podium so far for his name. Set P9 in the championship. He's another rider which has had a few tough races so far this year, but overall he's been consistently within that top 10.
He has, yeah, 2 P6 finishes, 2 P7 finishes to go with a couple of non-point scoring outings. We'll be hoping he can go with that lead group and potentially put himself in that podium fight.
Yeah, and if he can put himself in that podium fight, well, we know what Misano's like for a race, and it's an all-out duel from start to finish. And there's plenty of tricky points on this circuit. There's plenty of points on the circuit where it's so easy to get caught out. You see Casey O'Gorman, another rider, looking for that first win of the year. Of course, the Irishman has had a great last couple of rounds, and you really have to say momentum's starting to build.
Momentum is building for the number 67 O'Gorman with 3 consecutive P2 finishes. We'll be hoping he can get back on the rostrum in race 1 today.
Yeah, plenty of P2s so far this year, and apart from the crash at Estoril, it's been a great season for Casey, and, well, he's on a Honda, his teammates with Rico Salmela. I'm sure they're sharing plenty of data and helping each other throughout these race weekends.
Yeah, definitely. When you've got 2 quick riders in your team, or 3 in some cases, then everyone benefits from that, to make sure that everyone is scoring the best results possible.
And, well, we have one of our Brits on our screen, Sullivan Mountsie. Now, Sullivan, P8, a cracking qualifying for him. I mean, a good ride so far, and showing that he's really suiting this Misano circuit.
He is, yeah. It's the season's best qualifying for him. His best was previously 9th at Jerez, so he's up 1 place from that. Again, we'll be hoping he can go with the lead group, but getting in the first top 10 will be a good result for the number 4.
Well, the 3-minute board is now out, meaning we're just moments away from getting going. But you can see another one of our Australia Galicia riders, Dodo Boggio. He's going to be looking for a good result here in Italy, of course. A home round always gives that extra push, that extra building that extra momentum really heading into the weekend and confidence.
It does, and it's probably a circuit he's done thousands of laps at throughout his career. P9 on the grid is his best of the season, and position-wise in races, he took his season's best last time out with 11th. We'll be aiming for a first top 10 this time out.
Yeah, he certainly will, as the grid starts to clear. And, well, the cars start making their way off, the teams start making their way back into pit lane, and the tension certainly starts to rise. We have a little look at Zem Matani on the grid, sitting comfortably in P10, and once again, we stick with the theme whenever we're back on the fourth row of the grid that is absolutely packed with talent, and that's not to mention obviously the likes of the back of the grid where we have Esteban. It's really building to be a good race, and we could see a real good group fight, unlike what we've seen, for example, in the wet races earlier on in the year where things tend to get a little bit more bunched out. This looks like it's going to be an all-out dogfight. It
does, yes. Misano is a circuit where you can break away, but it's tricky. There are plenty of places where you can utilise the slipstream to stay with the group. Obviously, out of turn 10 through Cavone into 12 and 13, slipstream is vital, down the main straight, and also from turn 6 down to turn 8.
And well, we've just had a quick look at Leonardo Zani. And well, Zani, of course, winner at Aragon. He got his first win of the season. And he's going to be looking to take number 2 here today. Alongside him, though, on that row is going to be Evan Belford. Now, we spoke to him yesterday in the paddock. Well, I was just taking a little breather. And he did say he's looking for a podium here today. Perhaps not the qualifying he was looking for. But now, all talking does stop, and it's time to turn our attention to the grid. For the opening race of the day here in Misano, it's Junior GP Race 1. Brian Uriarte starts on pole position for Marco Morelli and Jesus Rios on the front row of the grid, with Rico Salmela, Pratama and Gonzalez on row 2. Casey O'Gorman, Sullivan Mansi and Dodo Boggio starts from our third row of the grid. Meanwhile, on row 4, Zem Matani heads that alongside race winner last time out, Leonardo Zani, with Evan Belford in P12. Nicholas starts P13 alongside Pugliese and Hakim Danish. Famara, Billon and Farkas starts P16, 17 and 18. Ramestoffer, Michelion and Agostinelli starts from row 7 with Fabrizio, Monoyani and Van Tricht on row 8, while Lucas Brown, Tietze and Uchimi starts from row 9. Meanwhile, right now for our final couple of rows of the grid, it's going to be Serba, Schronrock and Russo, as Esteban and Singapong round out our grid. Of course, back of the grid penalties for them too, and plenty of work to do here in race 1 as we head out on our warm-up lap.
Yeah, plenty of work to do for, as you say, Esteban and Singapong. Esteban, we know throughout this season, has had good race pace, and he has often battled his way through, not from the back of the grid, but from qualifying positions where, obviously, qualifying this year hasn't been his strength.
Yeah, qualifying exactly has been tricky this year. It's really one thing, having to bite the screen and get one lap in as we have a quick look at championship standards. 17 points separating them at the top. But as you said, it's one thing biting the screen for one lap. It's another thing stringing together an entire race because, well, this is a lengthy race, 16 laps in distance.
It is, yeah, and there's plenty of overtaking opportunities at Misano. You have turn 1, especially on the opening lap, and turn 4 can be a bit of a pinch point. And then turn 8, La Quercia, is a key overtaking hotspot. And then it's the run from turn 10 through Cavone at turn 11, one of the most iconic corners in motorsport, before you start scrubbing off the speed through 12, 13, and then turn 14, Curva del Carro, an overtaking hotspot as well. And if you are feeling brave, turn 16 can be, but it's a very, very risky move. Yeah, you basically have to be completely alongside them in the braking zone at turn 16 if you want to make it work. But Carro Corner, as you said, turn 14, where we're heading to now, it is such a good overtaking opportunity. It's a real good place for a nice block pass on that final lap. It is, yeah. As you say, riders will be scrubbing speed off from turn 12 through 13. You can line up through 13 into turn 14 to make that move. And as it's a block pass, you can hold your opponent's momentum to claim a position. Well, Brian Uriarte has done it so well so far this year. He knows how to play the field in Junior GP. He knows what he needs to do to be able to win in this class. We're moments away from lights out. 17 points, of course, separating them at the top of the championship. How is that all going to change here this morning? We're nearly ready. The final riders just slotting into position. The green flag waves at the back, and then the red lights will come on for the start here in Misano.
The revs rise, the red lights are on, and we go racing for race 1 of Junior GP, and there's a great start from Brian Uriarte. Marco Morelli looking up the inside on the run to turn 1. Who's going to be the bravest? So they tip it in to the right, and then of course the flip-flop to the left at turn 2. All safe so far. Uriarte does take the lead. The top 3 staying as was. Of course, Rico Salmela, a good start there from him actually, up from P4 on the grid. From the second row into P3, a big moment there in the front from Uriarte. Keeps on 2 wheels though, so he's not to be too worried about that, as there is some contact further back. Somehow everyone staying on as we tip it in towards the back straight, out of turn 6 now, and on the power.
This is a good opportunity for Morelli. He's got the slipstream from Uriarte, who lost momentum after that moment under braking, but it looks like the number 51 will just hold on from his rival.
Through turn 8, plenty of different racing lines to take on the exit here. On the power once more, then the tricky turn 9 and turn 10. It's so easy to lose the front here. A lot of pressure on that front tyre. Everyone through in the top 5 nice and safely. And then, of course, we start building the speed faster and faster towards Corvone, towards turn 11. One of the quickest corners on the calendar. And Brian Uriarte trying everything he can to break that slipstream. He tips it into the right now. Marco Morelli looking up the inside and looking for an attack. Joel Esteban already inside the points. A cracking start from the 78.
Yeah, Esteban straight up into P14 on the opening lap so far. Just at the front, it looks like Morelli was defending hard from Salmela into turn 14. And Pratama is right in that battle as well. He's all over the back of the Finnish rider.
Veda Pratama and Casey O'Gorman running on the green there. They're not going to want to do that too many times during this race. Of course, you're allowed on the blue, but not on the green on the exit of the curbs, as we do have a rider down. It looks to be in the final sector. We do have Nicholas dropping down our timing screens at the moment. But the battle will continue on at the front, and Brian Uriarte does continue his charge. A clean first lap, and that's really what you need to do here at Misano. Get away and get in a rhythm as soon as possible.
It is, yeah, get away. Try and build a gap if you can. As we mentioned, it's so difficult, especially on the opening lap, to build that gap. But Uriarte held on to P1 from Morelli and Salmela, and as we said, Pratama P4. And O'Gorman has just moved up into 5th ahead of Jesus Rios.
Nicholas getting a little bit of help there from the marshals. We have a look. I do think it'll be a high side as well. We see there a massive high side, losing the rear, regrips, and off the track he goes. And that's going to be the end to his race 1. Hopefully he can get everything sorted for race 2 and be okay. As Marco Morelli now looks for a move at the front of the field. The top 4 beginning to break away as Brian Uriarte does go wide, and that is going to be the 97 who takes the lead. But of course now Uriarte is going to have the slipstream if he doesn't get attacked by Salmela through turn 11. Now he does look up the inside. Can he make a move? It's very, very tight. Veda Pratama as well looking up the inside of the 27. He gets that move made before they even arrive at turn 13.
Yeah, Uriarte had a bit of a moment just coming through turns 9 and 10, which allowed Morelli to claim the lead, and Morelli just able to hold on through Cavone. But it's now a big 4-rider group at the front. They have broken away from O'Gorman in P5.
Yeah, they continue to battle away at the front of this field. 15 laps remain, soon to be 14 laps to go, and this race will tick down very, very quickly. They come over the line now, and it's going to be 1.5 tenths fastest lap as well, changing hands between Morelli and Pratama. I expect that to go down as this race continues. Plenty of battles as well. Evan Belford now inside the top 10. He is looking in the podium hunt this weekend, but Pratama, a best new race lap. A great lap for him as another move at the front. Brian Uriarte up the inside, a change of lead once more. Now Marco Morelli back into second. Another opportunity to try and gather some data and see where he can be quicker.
He can. He's also got a good run out of turn 6. Turn 7 is just a flat-out kink in motorcycle racing. He will look at turn 8 on the inside. Can he get ahead under braking? No, Uriarte holds position.
Yeah, looking at Quercia corner, and he didn't get that one stuck. Of course, so easy to run wide in the braking zone here. You're asking so much from the brake, especially on these Junior GP bikes, where it's all about the corner speed. As Marco Morelli, another look up the inside, a slightly tighter line through turns 9 and 10. No running wide this time, though, from Brian Uriarte, so he does continue to lead, but now it's all on the slipstream once more as we come towards Corvone.
It is, and last lap we saw 4 riders basically side by side through Corvone, this time all in a line. Uriarte holding position, Salmela all over the back of Morelli as Pratama just holds position at the moment, looking to see where he can make that move. Uriarte defending position through turn 14 to keep P1.
Now, as we're continuing this great fight, Joel Esteban now up into P11, so a great start there for him. He's free off the well, battling away in P7. But this race, once again, you see a few riders running on the green.
Yeah, a few riders running on the green. It looked like someone came down at turn 14. We're just waiting to see on timing, because yes, Casey O'Gorman went down at turn 14. He has rejoined the race.
Yeah, so Casey, not what he would have wanted this morning. The 67 now dropping down the time of the order. He's going to be going back to the drawing board later on as his teammate continues to battle at the front of the field. Rico Salmela continuing to look for a way past into second position. Gonzalez setting the fastest lap of the race. A new best race lap. Once again, the pace is so hot this morning. We're edging towards 26 degrees air Celsius. And it's all still in the AM. Now, Esteban, inside the top 10 he goes. One rider's just entered the points, actually, is Leonardo Zani. Now, he's dropped down the order from his P11 start as his teammate runs in P6. So plenty of work to do for Zani. He's going to be looking to enter that top 10 by the end of this race. You would think we still have 13 laps remaining in this one. Morelli taking that tighter line. A slight moment as well from Salmela in third. Is that going to affect his drive heading on to the back straight? Will this help Pratama try and get a little bit more slipstream?
It looks like it. Pratama was all over the back of Salmela through turn 10. It looks like the Finnish rider has got enough through Cavone to keep P3 at the moment, but it will come down to turn 14. Pratama having a look, actually, at turn 12. That is a big move from the Indonesian rider.
Yeah, big move. And now Rico Salmela back through he goes. And well, before we even arrived at turn 14, that move was already done and dusted. But it looks like a red flag has been shown, and that will be a stoppage to race one here in Junior GP. So the red flag bringing a stop to proceedings here on lap 4. And instead of going round, the riders will make their way back into the pit lane as we see the cause for the red flag on what looks to be the exit of turn 6.
Yeah, well, obviously it's Eric Miklion involved, the number 21, just receiving some medical attention, so we hope he is okay as riders come back into pit lane.
Yeah, of course, we send our best wishes there to Eric as the field make their way back into the pit lane. And well, we're only on lap 4, meaning that once we can get word of the restart, of course, the medics and the marshals have their job to do track side. It does mean that the riders are going to have to almost get back into focus again. This is almost a chance for them to have a break, have a rest, or have a reset, especially if it wasn't the start they had hoped for.
Yeah, it is a chance to have a reset as we obviously wait for any further information. A chance to debrief with teams, explain how the bike was feeling, discuss what can be changed. It will be important for the riders just to have that little debrief, maybe talk to teammates as well, see how they were feeling throughout those first 4 laps.
Yeah, and of course, when we do get restarted, of course, it's going to be a whole new start procedure for them, meaning that it's almost going to be like a sprint race in the finish up. Of course, 16 laps in distance was originally due to be run. We've done 4 laps so far, and then of course the time machines will eventually be updated once we understand the situation, once we have a new distance. But at the moment, the field's in their pit boxes, having a little drink of water, having a little rest before we get going. There's Kevin Farkas chilling in his box, still got the helmet on, of course. Some riders might opt to take the helmet off, have a little breather totally, or just keep your helmet on and keep in the zone.
Exactly, it'll be rider preference whether you want to take your helmet off, get a bit of fresh air, talk to your team, or keep the helmet on, keep in the zone.
Yeah, and well, plenty of support here today at Misano. Plenty of fans watching on trackside. It's something we've seen all year long. Of course, everyone loves a little bit of Junior GP action to spice up their weekend. And well, the Junior GP Classic was set to go first on the schedule here today. Of course, 50 points up for grabs, 2 races this weekend. So another challenge for them, with them having to have another opportunity later on after this first race is finished. Of course, they'll have another chance to maybe make a few tweaks with their setup, because it's one thing doing laps on your own or maybe with 4 or 5 riders in a free practice session. It's a whole other situation when everyone is pushing 150% out in a race.
Exactly, yeah. Race 2 will obviously be another chance to have things more refined. We just see Julio Pugilis in the box, the home hero, obviously hoping for a good result this weekend.
Yeah, having a little chat at the moment with some of his engineers, so perhaps just a few little changes that he would like to make before the restart. But his teammate Joel Esteban did start from the back of the grid, and he fought his way through the order. When the red flag came out, P8. So a really, really solid start there for him. And this restart, once we obviously get more information on it, is really going to play into his hands.
It is, yeah. As more than 3 laps were completed, my understanding is that it will be grid positions based on last timekeeping point, which would put Esteban in the 3rd row. Obviously, we wait for that to be confirmed for any potential restart.
Yeah, and well, pit lane is still busy at the moment. It was even busier this morning, of course, because we had our pit walk, something we have every single round, and it gives the fans an opportunity to get up and close with these machines and up close with these riders as well. Plenty of signatures being handed out, plenty of selfies as well, and it's always good to see such good fan engagement here at JuniorGP. Of course, it's been round 5 of the season. Next round we will be heading to Barcelona before we head to Valencia for our final round. But Joel Esteban, he's looking pretty comfortable at the moment in his box, but you can tell it's been warm out there on the track.
It is very warm out there. It might only be 25, 26 degrees Celsius air temperature, track temperature closer to 34 now, but it feels very, very warm. And obviously riding bikes in these conditions will be hard work. Yeah,
it's going to be hard work for everyone out there, and for the mechanics right now who are getting an extra workout on track in the pit boxes. But that track temp is just going to rise as the day goes on. We're expecting around 27, 28 degrees Celsius here this afternoon, as a little bit of dust gets put down on the curb, and the medics are continuing to do their job. But good news to hear that rider conscious and talking to the medics trackside.
Yeah, and obviously he will go to the medical centre for a checkup, but it is very good to see that he is conscious, and obviously we are sending our best wishes, to the number 21.
Yeah, and well, now I don't think we should be too far away from at least understanding how this restart is going to look as the fans wait on too. Plenty of them, I think, they came here just 1 week ago for the MotoGP San Marino Grand Prix, and have come back the weekend after for some JuniorGP action. And really, I can't think of many circuits that are better in the world than here at Misano.
No, it's an incredible circuit. It's iconic throughout motorsport, especially bike racing, of course, but even car racing has had some phenomenal outings here. And it's in a prime location. It's 10 minutes from the beach. So if you wanted to make it a holiday, you can. We've just had from Race Direction, we will have a quick procedure. Pit lane open, still not confirmed, but it will be a 7-lap restarted race.
Yeah, so a 7-lap race, quick start procedure, meaning that unlike before when we had all the teams, the umbrellas, everything on the grid, we're not going to have that this time around. It's just going to be a simple go to the grid, check that you're in the right position, you'll have one team member there waiting for you, and then after that you'll head out on the warm-up lap and we will get going. But you can see the marshals sweeping the curbs, and well, of course, here we have the now well-known Misano curbs, and that's to stop the riders, or to at least try and prevent the riders from exceeding track limits. And that's, with the wider you go in the curb, the more rough it gets, meaning that it's more difficult and you basically lose time because there's less grip out there.
Exactly, and that's part of the reason why you see a lot of blue painted areas off track limits now. If you go on the blue, it's not a track limit offence. There are still some corners that have some green. The exit of turn 16, for example, there is a bit of green paint. You cannot run on that. You'll get a track limits warning, or if it's the last lap, you will be ordered to drop one, or you'll be dropped one position in the results.
Yeah, as we see Lucas Brown just a few moments ago chilling in his box, and well, he'll be looking for a good result here today. Of course, racing in the Red Bull Rookies this year as well. And well, I think it's fair to say one rider who's had a great year, both in JuniorGP so far and in the Red Bull Rookies, was Brian Uriarte just 1 week ago.
Yeah, obviously he was crowned Red Bull Rookies champion for this season at Misano when it was on the bill with MotoGP, and he comes back to the same circuit, pole here this weekend, fighting at the front. It seems like a good circuit for him. Yeah, definitely, and some happy memories, happy recent memories as well for Brian. But, well, we're still waiting on the pit lane open time as we see some of the fans watching on trackside and just checking exactly what's going on while they're watching around the circuit, because there's some real good vantage points here at Misano, some great grandstands, some great bankings as well that you can sit on and even have a nice wee
picnic while you're watching on trackside.
Plenty of places to watch from. As we've highlighted the overtaking opportunities, which obviously are prime to watch from. But there are some iconic corners as well, which maybe you don't see as much overtaking, but you see riders pushing at the limit. Cavone is not a traditional overtaking spot, although we have seen a move there today. But you watch riders pushing through there. We saw it in Moto2 last week with Manuel Gonzalez sliding his way through turn 11, an iconic shot.
Yeah, exactly, and who knows, we could see that later on here today in the Moto2 European Championship. But, well, it's not a passing place normally, but anything can happen in the Junior GP and the European Talent Cup class especially, and there is confirmation. The race distance of 7 laps. We're still just waiting on a pit lane open time, as are the riders, and then, of course, they will be ready to go, and I'm sure a lot of them actually will be ready to go because they know once they get this time, it's not going to be too long. They're only going to have a couple minutes notice or 5 minutes notice or so before it opens usually. Exactly,
it will be very short notice, and then pit lane will be open for 1 minute usually, straight round to the grid. As you said, one mechanic just to check everything's working okay, warm-up lap, racing. It is a very quick start procedure.
Yeah, and well, we're looking at turn 8 at the moment, a corner which has decided so many races and impacted so many championships, both here in the Junior GP paddock and in the World Superbike paddock, and even in the Grand Prix paddock as well. We've seen even race aside last week. But, well, as we're looking at, you can see some of the stunning art as well that are surround the runoff areas here at Misano. And, yeah, what better way to watch the race and then up on some of the vantage points. There's plenty of viewing opportunities as well at the top of the pit lane, which is perfect to see because you see all the riders in a few moments' time get ready and the big hustle and bustle and rush down in pit exit.
Exactly, yeah, you'll see the rush, as you said, to get out onto track, out of the pits. We are still waiting for that pit lane open time to be confirmed, but as we said, it will be a quick start procedure with a 7-lap race distance.
Yeah, 7 laps, a full-on sprint, and well, heading into this weekend, we had just under 20 nationalities that will be taking part this weekend. Evan Belford, smile on his face, and I'm sure he's looking forward to this restart. He was feeling very confident heading into this weekend, and actually, of course, he took part in the Moto3 World Championship last weekend in San Marino, and he did crash out. But it was his debut, and he was there to fight within the pack, showing how competitive Junior GP is. And most interestingly, when we spoke to him, he did say that he could pretty much copy and paste the setup he used from last week as a starting point for this weekend, and it instantly worked.
Exactly, yeah. Obviously, conditions will be slightly different, depending obviously on temperature, if it rained during the week, for example. But he'll have a very, very good reference to start the weekend with, and then it's just refining rather than trying to find the best setup. It was just small tweaks he would have needed to make.
Yeah, some small tweaks, and it makes your weekend a lot easier than what it might have been if he didn't take part. But of course, a couple of winners so far, as your 3 winners so far in 2025, and Junior GP always springing the surprise. And of course, after this first race of the day for Junior GP, we then will start turning our attention to the ETC before it's time for Moto2, and then of course Junior GP back out later on this afternoon. So this second race is well, it's going to be completely different from this one, providing no stoppages. So, meaning almost we've got a sprint race as race 1 now, and then race 2 later on, we're going to hopefully have the full 16 laps in distance. So, no matter what we see in this restart, it could be a completely different story this afternoon.
It could be, yeah. As you say, we'll be hoping for a 16-lap race this afternoon, down to 7 laps after the red flag stoppage. Here. We just saw Vader Pratama on screen. He made big progress up into the podium places. Will or should start from the front row. I believe he was running in P3 when the red flag was thrown, maybe P4. He'll be hoping to make another good start to see if he can be P2 or even P1 on lap 1.
Yeah, Pratama, super impressive on that start, of course, the number 9. Continuing to have a good year, but pit lane will be open in just over 5 minutes time at 11:25, and on pole position it's going to be Brian Uriarte from Marco Morelli and Rico Salmela in 3rd position. Pratama, Gonzalez and Rioth will be starting from row 2, and Joel Esteban, he'll be starting from P10. So a little look at the timing screens, of course, that'll be taken at the last completed lap for all the riders. So Pratama crossing the line in P4 as Singapong is on screen, and well, Singapong, he did have to start from the back of the grid, and now he's starting from P26. So slightly higher up the order and slightly less of a drama for him as we get confirmation of that quick start procedure and the pit lane opening time.
Yeah, so Singapong, he said, did make some progress in the opening 4 laps, perhaps not as much as he would have liked, but we'll go from row 9 rather than row 11. So he has moved up the order. And as you mentioned, Joel Esteban, we mentioned it at the start of the program, his race pace this year has been phenomenal. Starting from row 4 rather than the back of the grid, expect him to be in contention in that lead group sooner rather than later, even over a 7-lap distance.
Yeah, super impressive stuff as just over 4 minutes till pit lane opens. We'll have to keep a good eye this time around on Casey O'Gorman after that slight error in the first start. He starts from P24 on the grid for this one, and perhaps a rider like Casey is the exact person that someone like Singapong or Lucas Brown or even Achime is going to be looking at following on this second start of the race because they know he's going to move forward.
O'Gorman is a good reference for all the riders behind him. He will be hoping he can move forward quickly. We know he is starting out of position for this one after his crash at turn 14 in the original start. He basically needs to copy Esteban from the first 4 laps and move up into the points as soon as possible. If he can do it on the opening lap and then just gradually over the next 6 build up into a top 10, it will be a good comeback for the Irishman.
A very happy Zem Matani there in the pit box. As well, the marshals just putting down the grid positions just to tell the teams and the riders exactly where they need to go for this restart. I'm sure they'll be looking at the timing screens themselves just to have a little glance and try and remember that for later on. But at the moment, the crowd just waiting as we are here in the commentary box. But track temperature continuing to rise, over 34 degrees now. And with bikes circulating around the circuit all day long, it's going to continue getting hotter and hotter. And I'm sure some of these riders are going to be hoping that it doesn't enter the greasy phase of the track surface and when it starts to get really tricky out there, especially on the front end.
Exactly. Yesterday we saw throughout the practice and qualifying sessions that track temperatures did reach 50 degrees Celsius. We're some way away from that now, but the sun is beating down on the circuit and will do all day. And as you say, couple that with the bikes going around virtually all day. Track temperature is going to probably get close to or even exceed that because it does feel warmer today than it did yesterday.
Yeah, as we see Serpa sitting inside the box, nice and happy yet again, and trying to keep everything cool, calm and collected. I think it's fair to say, while a few team members, team managers have a little chat in pit lane. It's always a busy pit lane down here in Misano. Of course, it's plenty of riders home round, meaning there's a few extra paddock passes that usually get brung.
Yeah, an Italian rider will always bring friends and family to the home round. Anyone will bring friends and family to a home round, in fairness, but Misano always has plenty of people attending, whether it's guests of teams and riders, people in the stands as we're seeing now. 2 minutes until pit lane opens, or just under 2 minutes at this point until pit lane opens, and then riders will be heading back on track.
Yeah, they will, and they'll be heading out towards the grid. And now, with less than 2 minutes to go, is the point where they're fully focused yet again. Maybe a last chat with their engineer about what the plan is for the start, because although it's Junior GP, and although it can be pretty chaotic on the first lap, every rider does go into the first lap with some sort of a plan.
Every rider will have a plan, as you say, but having a plan and then using that plan are 2 very different things. Uriarte had almost the perfect start on the first race. He stayed in P1. He built enough of a gap that he was able to defend from Morelli and Salmella in the early stages, and then until he made a mistake at turns 9-10 was leading the race.
Well, we're less than 1 minute until pit lane opens. The crowd still watching on, and they'll be here all day long. You can hear the starter motors beginning to fire. Of course, there's no starter motors like a conventional motorcycle on these Junior GP machines. Spin the rear wheel and essentially bump start it while it's standing still, and then they can get going from pit lane. You can see some of the teams now making their way out and getting the bike started before we get going. That is going to be the AGR team. Of course, one of their riders being Moliani as they head out of pit lane now. The bikes are fired and we're nearly ready to get going for the restart of Junior GP Race 1 here at Misano. Brian Uriarte's bike still in the pit box as things stand. Of course, he is going to have a little bit of time before pit lane shuts as he comes out now. Visor down. Well, that is someone who means business. That is someone who's ready to take yet another win in 2025. Can he do it is a different thing. But Brian Uriarte, your championship leader, 17 points. He leads by. We're going to be not too far away. We're going to be 7 laps of racing away from finding out how that's going to look after race 1.
It was interesting to see the contrast. Everyone rushing out of their box to get on track, and then Uriarte just taking his time a little bit, maybe a bit more relaxed, knowing from the first 4 laps he had the pace to stay at the front. Just a bit of a contrast there from basically everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. I would definitely agree with that. And what we seen in the first start was that, of course, the 51, he was able to stay at the front, while second, third, and fourth, Pratama, Salmela, and of course, Morelli was battling away behind them, and all that done was slowed up themselves and allowed Brian Uriarte to continue to edge away, apart from that slight mistake we did see at turn 10. But again, it's the opening laps, you're super fired up, there's a lot of adrenaline, and he only made it once. As soon as he made that mistake, the next couple laps after that, he was perfect.
And he also made sure to respond from that mistake straight away by moving back into P1 at the earliest opportunity. So he knew that it didn't cost him too much in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, he will be hoping he doesn't do it again, because he won't want to be dropping down to P2, P3, because we saw in the first race, it was a 4-rider group fighting for victory. As you mentioned, Morelli, Salmela, Pratama behind him were scrapping out, just giving Uriarte an advantage. Even if his lap times weren't massively faster, he was able to just eke out the gap as they were battling behind him.
Now, David Gonzalez, he starts from row 2. He's going to start from P5 in this restart. He set some very, very quick times on that first start of race 1. And now he's heading from the second row. He's going to try and get away with his front group this time around and try and make it at least a 5-bike battle. If
the number 11 can post the same lap times as he was doing in the first start, he'll be there. He will 100% be there. Gonzalez will be looking he won't have to fight to build that gap this time now, because he is right there. If he can do it on the opening lap as well, maybe get in the mix, maybe he can jump up 1 or 2 positions, he'll be fighting for a podium.
Yeah, he's going to be fighting for a podium if everything works out. Brian Uriarte, hoping that everything works out this time around. One final word, one final good luck from his mechanics, and now we're ready to go. The tension is rising here in Italy, the tension's rising here in Misano, and while the Adriatic coast is about to see some drama. It's going to be, of course, a quick warm-up lap before we do get going. The green flag lap does start now. And what better way to start it than, well, Brian Uriarte getting his tyres up to temperature, everyone getting their tyres up to temperature, their brakes up to temperature, and their mind back up to speed and in the zone once more. Yeah,
the warm-up lap just to evaluate conditions. As I said, track temperature has risen since they were out on track not that long ago. It's now 34.8 degrees, so we're really close to that 35-degree mark. So just evaluating conditions, seeing how the bike feels. They can't make any changes now, of course, but you can adapt your riding style to get the best out of it.
Yeah, and of course it's going to be Uriarte on pole once again, but Rico Salmela now starting from the front row of the grid. Of course, he started from row 2 on the first start of things. Now it's another opportunity for him to try and get the whole shot on the run to turn 1 and try and brake just slightly deeper, even if he has to push 1 or 2 people wide. It's going to be a good opportunity for him to break any momentum for building in the opening laps.
It is. Turn 1, if he can get another good launch in game positions, he will be able to potentially challenge Uriarte into turn 1. If not, turn 4 we know is a pinch point, especially on the opening laps. That will be crucial if Salmela is able to get a good launch.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see how this one plays out. The riders at the moment just making their way out of turn 10 towards Corvone, where we've seen some moves being made at the first start of things. It's one of the fastest corners that we have on the calendar, and on these machines, it's basically flat out. It's as fast as you dare, but the hardest part is when you're leaned over to the right-hand side of the bike, it's knowing where the end of the track is and not exceeding track limits, because it's so easy to go in the green through there.
It is so easy to run just a little bit wide, but if you run wide and touch the green on that final lap, you will be forced to drop 1 position in the result. Obviously, you will get track limits warnings if you're doing it on the first 6 laps in this case, so vital to not go on the green.
Well, Brian Uriarte now in the P1 spot. He is ready to rock and roll here in the restart of Junior GP Race 1. Marco Morelli looking ready to duel out on track. Rico Samela starting in P3 on the 27. What can he do on board the Honda? Two Hondas on the front row. Of course, Brian Uriarte starting his way on board the KTM. The green flag waves at the back. We're ready to race once more here in Junior GP Race 1. The red lights are on. And the red lights are off, and we go racing for the restart. And it's a good start for Brian Uriarte, a great start for Rico Salmela, who looks for a move at turn 1. He can't get that one made though. The Doctor's Dangle all the way into turn 1. Marco Morelli round the outside, on the inside now, but Rico Salmela toughing it out towards turn 3. And the 27, he does hold on to it. Second position now from P3 on the grid. Joel Esteban trying to pick up some positions further down the order. He's already ahead of his teammate Sullivan Mountsie. So Mountsie dropping back a few positions there on the start of things, but can he follow his teammate through the field? As Brian Uriarte leads the way from Rico Salmela, Marco Morelli in third position. A couple riders running very, very wide on the exit of turn 6.
Running very wide on the exit of turn 6 indeed, on the blue, so it won't be an issue. Morelli looking up the inside back into P2 at turn 8, but Salmela, can he hold it around the outside? He can't. Morelli takes position, and that is David Gonzalez as well, ahead of the Finnish rider. The number 27 was forced wide, now responding into turn 10.
Now Rico Salmela looking to reclaim third position. He has made that one work. Can he get some slipstream now though this time around? Veda Pratama following him through. The 54 just behind Jesus Rioff in P6. Now we come through Cavoni for the first time of asking who's going to be in the slipstream, who's going to be looking for a move down towards turn 13 and 14 now. And what a move we see there from Gonzalez, making his way for the field. A little bit of contact maybe there, but a big moment nevertheless. And that's going to force Pratama now to drop behind Rioff and now lose yet another position. This is going to be a short and snappy race. We come towards to make it 6 laps to go in just 1 corner's time.
Yeah, plenty of riders on the green on that opening lap there. We see Gonzalez and Salmela. Well, Gonzalez was very wide there through the final corner. Jesus Rios is all over the back of the number 11. Morelli challenging Uriarte into turn 1, not able to make the move as Gonzalez heads into P3.
Now Pratama up the inside, setting up Jesus Rios, and now all the way he loses a position, potentially going to lose another position now to the likes of Joel Esteban and Evan Belford behind Sullivan Mountsie. Just at the back of this group, you have a big group forming at the head of things. So far 5, 6, 7 riders as Rico Salmela is down. Rico Salmela has crashed out of race 1. On lap 2 of this restart, the 27 has hit the deck and now running to pick up his bike. The battle will continue at the head of things. Brian Uriarte does continue to lead the way. Now for Marco Morelli. Of course, Rico Salmela second in the championship. A massive points blow this time out.
Costly points blow for the number 27. It looks like he is potentially trying to rejoin the race. I was just about to say, the scrapping behind Uriarte and Morelli was allowing those two to break away. And there is a bit of a gap between the top 2 and Gonzalez, who's about half a second back. We just see what happens here. Just look like maybe potentially on the curb, the bike a bit unsettled, and Salmela crashing out.
Yeah, the bike gave him a few warnings, I think it's fair to say, but at turns 3 and turns 4, it's so tricky. Turns 4 and 5 actually, it's so tricky to save anything because you're constantly on that side of the tyre. As we see the live championship standings, 42 points Salmela is now back, and well, Casey O'Gorman, if he has a good ride, of course, now already inside the points, P12 as things stand, potentially Casey O'Gorman could overtake the likes of Salmela depending on how well he does in this race, certainly by the end of the day.
Yeah, O'Gorman, will look to keep moving up the order. I'd say up to 12th already, up to 11th actually. He's just got ahead of Puglisi to move into P11. Uriarte defending from Morelli. Gonzalez has closed that gap up actually. He was a 10th quicker than Morelli on that last lap and 2 tenths quicker than Uriarte. So Gonzalez is not out of this, but he has dropped Pratama in P4. Yeah,
Pratama now has dropped back, and Jesus Rioff just behind him with Joel Esteban also going to be looking for a way through. Joel Esteban made so much time up in the first couple of laps, especially on the first start of things, but this is where it begins to get tricky. You get towards the riders you usually are battling with, as Marco Morelli has a look up the inside. He thinks better of it this time around at turn 8, but Esteban, this is where it gets tricky because he's going against people he's been racing with all season long.
Not just that, but the pace at the front is very similar. The top 3, we're just seeing, Pratama up the inside of Jesus Rios at turns 9 and 10. He's wide. Rios has the chance to cut back, on to the run into Cavani, and it looks like he is back ahead of the number 9.
Yeah, he's back through as things stand. Pratama demoted 1 position down to P5 at the moment. He has some slipstream. Is he going to look for a response, or is it going to be Joe Esteban on the attack? We're not going to have to wait too much longer to find out. They head into the braking zone now towards the likes of turn 14. Brian Uriarte, another moment there on the front. Nothing to worry about just yet. Turn 15 now. Plenty of races have been decided here. It's so easy to lose the front. And then heavy on the brakes once more. Into Misano corner, turn 16, the final turn. Casey O'Gorman off the track once again in the background, onto the green. And that's going to be another strike to his tally. He's not going to want to do that too many more times.
No, he really is not going to. He is, well, he's just in the top 10 now. Looks like he's just lost out to Muninyane for P9. At the front, Uriarte still defending from Morelli. He's not able to break away from Morelli or Gonzalez behind. It is very much a freeway fight for the win. They are more than a second clear of Rios in P4.
6-wheeler at the head of things. 4 laps now remain. And Brian Uriarte, it's going to be interesting to see or know by the end of the race if he's been told that Rico Samella's crashed out. Of course, it's his main rival so far this season. How much does he dare to risk, or did the team just let him get on with things? Because right now he's pushing to the absolute limit. Over the line, 89 thousandths of a second he led by over Marco Morelli. And Marco Morelli, of course, he's raced in even Grand Prix World Championship as a wildcard or replacement rider. Now he's beginning to show his experience as he looks up the inside towards turn 9. Thinks better of it and slots back in before they even arrive at turn 10.
Slotting in behind him, just keeping P2, but keeping the slipstream on the run into Cavani. Uriarte going very defensive on that run into turn 11. It was interesting seeing the 2 different lines the pair have taken all race, and in the first race as well, through turns 9 and 10. Already generally taking a slightly tighter line than the number 51.
Now, I do see Boggio dropping down the timing screen, so hopefully nothing wrong with him, as we do see actually turn 10 crash. So number 47 becoming our first victim of turn 10 so far this weekend, and there is Dodo Boggio in the gravel. You can just see the long lap penalty on the outside of the circuit, but so easy to do, so easy to lose the front through there, and you can't blame him on this short race. It's maximum attack, and will we see attack this time around, or this lap from Marco Morelli for the lead?
He was having a look at turn 1, but couldn't make the move. Just looking at the lap times, virtually the same between Uriarte and Morelli. Gonzalez around a tenth slower this time, so the top 2 looking to break away, although it looks like Uriarte on that short run into turn 4 was making his own break.
Yeah, he's very quick in that first sector alone. I think that's fair to say. It's going to be interesting to see what the sector times are. But now exiting turn 6 on the power once more. Jesus Rios just ahead of Veda Pratama. Casey O'Gorman only up into P9 as things stand, just behind Sullivan Mountsie. Up the inside though goes Veda Pratama. Up the inside he goes to number 9. Makes the move work. Will it be a response from Rios? Yes, it will. But will he run wide? Can he carry all the corner speed that is needed towards turn 9? They'll go side by side yet again. The 54 does look up the inside of Pratama, but thinks better of it, and he'll just slot him behind because 3 laps remain, then not too much to stress about. That is actually O'Gorman further back, just ahead of Sullivan Mountsie. But it's a 6-wheeler at the front. It's a 6-wheeler in the battle for P4 as well. What more can you ask for in Junior GP Race 1? Deliver him once more.
It's been an incredible race so far. We're looking at the battle for P4. Pratama leading Rios and John Esteban. We mentioned earlier, Esteban not able to make that progress from P6. He's there, but the pace is so similar at the front between the top 3 and P4 to P6 running their own race. Pratama's just, well, on the last lap was in the 142s, whereas everyone else was in the 141s. So maybe holding up the riders behind him at this point.
Yeah, exactly. But it's going to be tricky to get past them. You didn't mention how tricky some of the corners are here at Misano to get through. Some of them you have to follow behind and just try to get a better drive into a better overtaking opportunity, like we seen last time around at turn 8. But Jesus Rios not able to do it this time around. Plenty of moves being made further down the order. Uriarte fastest lap of the race, the new best race lap as well. So clear that Uriarte is pushing on. But Marco Morelli able to keep tabs on him. Perhaps Gonzalez has dropped back a little bit, but certainly the 97, he's looking strong, and the battle is not over yet.
It's not. Gonzalez was 2 tenths slower than Uriarte on that lap, so it looks like he potentially doesn't have enough to go with him. Morelli was a tenth slower, but he's still all over the back of the number 51. The fight for the win is not over yet with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, it's not over just yet. Marco Morelli looking initially on the outside, then on the tighter line. Just trying to get a better drive out of turn 10. Use all the slipstream that is possible as we now build up speed towards Corvone. We're on the penultimate lap of things. Next time around, it will be the final lap of the race. Marco Morelli building for a move here. Can he make it work? The 97 using all the slipstream, tucking in absolutely everything he could on that back straight. But he slots in behind and keeps his powder dry as we prepare for the final lap. It's going to be fireworks because Marco Morelli, he's not going to finish this race without at least one chance of victory.
He's not. He will look for any opportunity he can. Just to note, Gonzalez has, in that third sector, just closed the gap up a little bit. He's lost it through that final sector. Morelli was on the blue there on the exit of turn 16. Not a problem as long as he didn't touch the green. Doesn't have a look at turn 1, so that's one opportunity going. But Morelli faster than Uriarte on that lap by a 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, the fastest lap of the race. Another new best race lap. This is a hot pace at the front of the field. Where is the move going to come? Marco Morelli is not going to finish second lying down. He's going to look for any opportunity through. JuniorGP, we can see champions are born here. Now Marco Morelli is going to prove what he can do on this final lap. The 97 in the slipstream. Will he pull out? Heading towards turn 8. Heavy on the brakes. We go now, and he does look up the inside. Releases the brake, but has to think better of it. Brian Uriarte had a big look behind. He knows how close Marco is as towards turn 9 and 10, and then building up speed once more.
This run through turn, Morelli, is he gonna? No, he can't quite get it done. Uriarte was very wide, even for his standards, through turn 10. Now it's all about the run through turn 11, 12, and 13 to set up a move into 14. Morelli is close, but is he close enough into Curva del Carlo to make that move?
David Gonzalez still sitting there in third position. If anything happens in this final sector, he's going to be here to pick up the pieces. Brian Uriarte leads the way, just a few more corners to go. Gonzalez down the inside he goes at turn 14. He thinks better of it though. Is that going to mess up Marco Morelli's momentum? We'll wait for the field to appear, and Brian Uriarte does lead the way still. Heading into final corner, it's going to be a drag race to the line. You would think Brian Uriarte holds on to it. The 51 to the line we go now, and who's it going to be? It looks like it's Marco Morelli. Marco Morelli has picked it at the line. 75 thousandths of a second. Brian Uriarte in P2. And well, David Gonzalez in third. Everything changes on the exit of that final corner. So impressive from Morelli. He timed that perfectly. He just waited until the final corner. And well, everything was on the run to the line. Brian Uriarte will be kicking himself for that one, but I don't think he's going to be terribly upset once he finds out that he still has increased his points margin over the likes of Rico Salmela in this one, especially after Salmela crashing out. Casey O'Gorman as well, just going through there. He crossed the line down in 9th. Not really able to make up too many positions there on that last lap. But the podium has been confirmed. Brian Uriarte will finish this one in second place. A good race for Brian. He sat at the front all the way, and that just gave Marco Morelli a little bit of time just to be able to calculate where he can be quicker. David Gonzalez, P8 in the standings, 54 points to his name, so that has placed him just ahead of the likes of Jesus Rios and stuff now, as he heads towards Parc Ferme where the celebrations will begin. And of course, our race winner, Brian Uriarte, will have a quick chat with Jack down there, or of course actually Marco Morelli will have a quick chat with Jack down there. Sadly we won't get to hear from Brian just yet to hear his thoughts after a dramatic second place finish. But you can see how elated Marco Morelli is for this win. He's raced in a whole host of championships over the years. He's even done some wildcards in the R&G British Talent Cup, rocking up as a wildcard at Thruxton a few years back and dominating proceedings there. And now in JuniorGP, he adds to his collection of trophies. He does add another P1 to the 97's cabinet back at home. They head into pit lane now where the celebrations will begin. One thing's guaranteed, the whole MLAV racing squad will be there, ready to celebrate with him. Of course, all riders will have to be weighed as they come into Parc Fermé, just checking everyone is within the regulations of the minimum bike and rider combined weight. But what a show it's been for the fans down there in Parc Fermé. The celebrations, the hugs to begin as he makes his way over to the scales to get weighed. 79 points now to his name in the championship, catapults him to P5 in the standings. It was his first podium of the season last time out at Aragon, and now it's his first win. What better way to do it than here at Misano? Good sportsmanship as well between the two of them. A nice little handshake being exchanged as the officials just check everything is all good to go. And, well, yeah, you can see it there on Marco Morelli's face. But, of course, this happens with all our top 3 finishers. Just checking that everything's okay. And then he'll sign that everything is correct, and then we can well and truly get going once again. But this is the run to the line, and this is Marco Morelli catapulting out the final corner, building more momentum. He had a tighter line on the exit, but he was able to just carry a bit more corner speed, and through he went. I don't think Brian Uriarte could believe it once he seen the 97 ahead of him at that finish line. Celebrations began before he even arrived at turn 1. A punch to the air. As, well, you can see it there from Brian's team. It is what it is. There's nothing more he could have done at this one. Celebrating with the team, you can see Macaulay just over to the left there. He's done a great job with MLAV Racing over the past couple of years in Junior GP, and now getting the step up as well to the Grand Prix World Championship. So, doing a good job down there with things. Continuing to develop riders and bring them through the ranks as well. Of course, Marco Morelli, he was known as Mr. No Plan B when he was pretty much left without a ride, and he just had Red Bull rookies to try and show himself, try and show the talent that he had. I think it's fair to say he's well and truly done it. Evan Belford, massive hugs down in Parc Fermé, so happy for his teammate. And I think Evan, he'll be happy with his ride too. P7 for him. And overall, a good point scoring morning for MLAV Racing. David Gonzalez, a podium for him, as we said. He sat there comfortably all the way. He did have a little look at the inside of Marco Morelli on that final lap. As you can see, we'll be celebrating very, very soon on the podium. Already waiting for things to begin. And you can hear the cheers are continuing to rage on there. So the Argentine rider is P1 here this morning. Can he make it 2 wins from 2 races this afternoon? We're not going to have to wait too long to find out and to answer that question, however.
Okay.
I don't have headset, so can you tell me when? I don't have headset, so can you tell
But yeah,
me when?
Marco Morelli down there in Parc Fermé. Having a quick chat with Jack.
Marco, what a race. You and Brian and David pushing each other all the way. Just talk us through that final lap where you took P1.
Yeah, it was a sensational race. As always, Brian was pushing a lot. He's the top reference rider here, I think, and yeah, he's the championship leader. He was very strong. From the beginning we pushed, but then they stopped the race. So I was thinking maybe it was going to be a bigger group, but as before, Brian pushed away, and we only stayed David and me. And it was super difficult to pass him, no? Because the KTM have a bit more of acceleration, so I was arriving to the braking points a bit with a bit gap. But in the end, in the last corner, he tried to defend a lot, and I just prepared the corner and had a good speed on the exit. And this is what I did, and I'm super happy. Finally, the first victory of the team, first victory of me in Junior GP, so I only can say thank you for all the people.
Marco, congratulations.
Thank you.
A sensational race, a sensational ride for Marco Morelli. And let's look how he done it. So Marco Morelli did get a good start to things. Brian Uriarte leading the way. There was moves made on the first couple of laps. Rico Salmela remaining in P3. High side though, further down the order. That brought an end to his race day. And then there was a red flag that brought a stoppage to the race after a crash for the number 21. Of course, he was treated trackside by the medics. It was a quick clean-up operation before the restart got underway. Now, Brian Uriarte did lead the field once more. An even better start for Rico Salmela this time around. He looked up the inside at turn 1, couldn't get it done, so he slotted into second position. Marco Morelli quickly responded, putting himself into second place, shoving Salmela wide as Salmela dropped another position to David Gonzalez. You've seen the crash there for the 27. That was an end to his morning, and that was some points lost. Brian Uriarte continued to lead the field. Marco Morelli was assessing the situation, trying to understand where he could make the pass, trying to understand where he could make the move. Jesus Rios and Pratama had their fight. This was for P4, with Joel Esteban sitting in behind. Dojo Boggio crashed out at turn 10, bringing an end to his morning for the Italian. No points scored in race 1. While Pratama continued to look for a move to be made. This was towards turn 8. He was able to make it work this time around, with Joel Esteban still trying to find a way through, still trying to find a chunk in their armour. But then on the final lap, it was Uriarte who led the way into the final corner and out of the final corner, but on the run to the line. Marco Morelli continued to build things. And well, that's how it was decided. An incredible launch at the final corner, and P1 to his name. Marco Morelli, your race 1 winner here in JuniorGP Misano. As the podium celebrations aren't too far away now, and you can just see some of the MLAV team up on the podium celebrating as the team member before David Gonzalez heads out on to the podium. Happy times for him, to say the least. Brian Uriarte still happy with P2. Well, of course, he'll be going back to the drawing board in search of his 5th win of the year. Marco Morelli, though, your race winner. And, well, he's delighted with that one. It means so much to him. And I'm sure with the Argentina national anthem just about to ring out in a few moments' time here in Misano, it's going to make things even more special. But first, the trophies. And you can see, pointing to the rest of the team down there in pit lane. Gonzalez now, he'll point that in the air. He's happy with that one. And well, that's another trophy to his cabinet. Marco Morelli as well, he'll get his trophy now. And I'm sure he'll be running out of room back at home for what he needs to store all these trophies that he's picking up so far this year. Both, of course, in JuniorGP and in the Red Bull Rookies Cup. The future is bright, as is the future for your winner. Marco Morelli in race 1 lifts up the trophy here in Misano. As well, we hear the national anthem ring out. So that was your podium, and now this is where the celebration well and truly begins. Of course, Some Prosecco for Morelli, for Gonzalez and Brian Uriarte. It is just going to be some sparkling water for them. It's of course not quite age to enjoy Prosecco just yet here at JuniorGP. But of course the photos now will be taken and they'll be posted of course on social media later on, which I'm sure will end up in the MLab Racing PR. But look at your final results here in Misano. Marco Morelli is your winner, from Brian Uriarte and David Gonzalez in third. That is your podium, with Veda Pratama and Joel Esteban rounding out top 5. Jesus Rios, Evan Belford and Zen Matani took up the top 8 spots, while Casey O'Gorman, after battling back following an early error, came home in P9. Pugliese finished and rounded out the top 10 with Moloyani in P11. Salvamenzi took 12th with Leo Ramostoffer in P13. Lance Vermara took up 14th, while Hakan Dinesh rounded out our point scorers here, just ahead of Leonardo Zani. So Zani, he'll be going back to the drawing board later on. Singapong up to P19 after his back of the grid earlier on this morning. Not quite points yet for him. Lucas Brown rounding out the top 25 here in Misano. But a big shift in that race. You can see some of our DNFs as well. Dodo Boggio being the most recent. Rico Salmela, Nicholas and Michelin were all DNFs in race 1. They'll be looking for a better result later this afternoon as JuniorGP heads out for race 2. And a quick look at the championship standings now, because things have well and truly shifted as Brian Uriarte extends his hold on the championship to 37 points. Rico Samela, his crash is going to pay dividends this year, with Casey O'Gorman sitting P3. Joel Esteban, Marco Morelli now up into P5 as well, both of them picking up a place as Leonardo Zani drops to 6th following no points scored. Zen Matani up into P10 in the championship standings. Pugliese just dropping back to 11th. Veda Berchama, some good points scored here this morning as well. He sits P12. Evan Belford up to P14 too. Sullivan Mountsy scoring 15 points so far this year. He's up into 17th position in the championship. Singapore, he still sits P20, but Moloyani is closely behind. Lucas Brown and Kevin Farkas take up your final championship spots. It's Brian Uriarte who extends his championship advantage here this morning, but he was not able to take the win. That goes the way to Marco Morelli here this morning. Marco Morelli wins race 1 here at Misano.